Welcome back everybody to Altcoin Daily. My name is Aaron. In today's video, I want to talk about the Chainlink ecosystem. I want to go through a thread, the bull case for Ethereum. We'll go through a thread, provide every single reason to be bullish on Ethereum this year. And of course, the top story of the day is huge news. Polkadot aligning themselves with Facebook. Facebook aligning themselves with Polkadot. Of course, the reason why you subscribe to this channel is because on a daily basis, we make a video on cryptocurrency. We break the market down, news, perspective, opinion. We make things easy to understand. We provide value. Hit the like button if you want to support the channel. Comment below. Every comment helps. Let's get into it. Pontum to use Polkadot to connect Diem and DeFi. What does this mean? Well, first of all, Pontum is an experimental network for Facebook's Diem project. Pontum is an experimental network for Facebook and their Diem project. And they've teamed up with Polkadot. More specifically, they've teamed up with Polkadot-based node infrastructure provider, PinkNode. So let's find out some details. Founded in 2020, Pontum uses Substrate, Polkadot's software development kit, to build a blockchain with a code base almost identical to Diem's. The project aims to help Diem onboard new features and solutions by first testing them in the Polkadot ecosystem. So the PinkNode deal will allow Pontum to deploy nodes and other API endpoints on Kusama, Polkadot's canary network, to finalize its network. Due to deploying the nodes and API endpoints, Pontum will help developers interested in Diem test new features in the Polkadot ecosystem before directly submitting them to Diem. This will also enable new projects on Diem to test their product market fit on Polkadot. Like I said, Facebook aligning themselves with Polkadot, Polkadot aligning themselves with Facebook. Seems like a win-win. Pontum and PinkNode team up to bridge Polkadot and Facebook's Diem. Think of what this does for the broad-based adoption and value of Polkadot long-term being linked to Facebook. Maybe there's a reason Polkadot has such significant VC interest. The Canary Network, Kusama, is a perfect testing ground for projects like Diem. So my friends, market sentiment is down, but this is what we see on every ebb and flow of the market. Go from euphoria to anger, there and back again. So when there's blood in the streets, when there's fear in the air, look towards projects that are better, like Bitcoin. Let's talk about Bitcoin, because in the context of this Bitcoin cycle, I think we're exactly where we need to be. We are here. So what you're looking at is Bitcoin halving cycles from the last halving to the next halving. Every time Bitcoin has went from one halving to another, this is how the price appreciated after the halving, after the supply flow gets cut in half. We are here. I think we still have plenty of upside in the next 3 years until the next halving. So with that being said, speaking of projects that I'm bullish on in the context of the next 1 to 2 years, let's talk about ETH. Upcoming catalysts for ETH within the next year. In no chronological order, this is a thread by ETH Bull Croissant ETH. These are his words. I think he's making some great points. NFTs. Currently, the NFT market is reminiscent of the early stages of DeFi. There are thousands of devs and even many large companies building NFT platforms. We haven't even scratched the surface of what can be made. Nvidia, GameStop, Twitter have discussed intentions to use them soon. EIP 1559. This EIP is arguably one of the biggest ever. More than 2.9 million Ethereum would have been burned this year if it had been live. This is going to change how transactions work. At an aim, make gas fees more predictable and stable. The massive UX upgrade will turn ETH into a deflationary asset. Supply on exchanges. ETH on exchanges has continually reached new lows, with the total balance now reaching levels not seen since 3 years ago. This trend is expected to continue with all the upcoming developments, including EIP 1559 deflation, staking, and more. ETH in smart contracts. A staggering 26% of ETH is locked in smart contracts, in dApps on the network. That's 57.7 billion worth of assets, up from 15% at the beginning of this year. The rate at which this is happening will only increase as more protocols are created requiring ETH. Synthetics, like synthetic assets, like synthetic stocks. ETH offers a solution to investors who want access to a wide variety of markets they would otherwise not have access to. Synthetics gives access to markets free of censorship, regulation, or centralization. This is a concept unbelievable to most unfamiliar with ETH. And you can see that people are starting to become aware of a problem in the traditional markets. Tokenization. This is a huge use case for ETH, especially with the explosion of NFTs. Any asset class can be represented as tokens on the ETH network easily, with programmable options fitting any use. It also has the ability to create a liquid market for new types of assets. Zero-knowledge proofs. One of the most promising scaling solutions for ETH is zero-knowledge proofs. ZK Sync is leading the effort with an Ethereum virtual machine compatible rollup expected in August. The rollup may have the ability to increase security on the network and scale it up to 10,000 transactions per second. Visa and Ethereum-based stablecoin USDC. In a massive announcement made just a few months ago, Visa became the first large payment network to accept transactions settled in USDC. There are an outstanding 3.3 billion Visa cards in use, with only 163 million wallets on ETH. This is one of many announcements like this to come. Layer 2. Hundreds of projects have been created for the sole purpose of bringing ETH to the next levels of scaling. They argue to have the capabilities of 100,000 plus transactions per second when used in combination with sharding. This is unbelievably fast compared to today's 15 transactions per second on the base layer. Proof of stake. What if I told you the world's fastest growing startup was about to offer dividends upwards of 5% APY for shareholders? Well, that's ETH. With proof of stake, it will offer rewards to stakers who lock up their tokens. Already, 5.4% of the total ETH circulating supply, this is a large percentage, has been locked up for ETH 2.0. I expect it to continue like that. Triple halving. ETH will undergo a massive supply shock equivalent to a total of 3 Bitcoin halving events. This is a 90% drop in sell pressure from miners thanks to changes to ETH, including proof of stake, deflation, as well as liquidity. It is known as the triple halving among Ethereans. Interoperability. Interoperability is slowly becoming seamless, and ETH may become the go-to standard for all of your DeFi needs. Protocols may simply offload smart contract capabilities to ETH while benefiting themselves from a more capital-efficient ecosystem. Store value. There is a growing narrative amongst big players that ETH is a better store of value than Bitcoin. I think this is still in question. Personally, I think Bitcoin still is the best store of value on long-term time frames. However, that doesn't change the fact we're seeing big players like Goldman Sachs say things like this: given the importance of real uses in determining store of value, Ether has high chance of overtaking Bitcoin as the dominant digital store of value. So whether you like this or not, agree with this or not, this is the conversation people are having, and trying to update you on. This will probably continue. Environment. While debatable, this argument has sprung up a lot for the Bitcoin crowd, with skeptics claiming that mining is bad for the environment and it is inefficient. These arguments will not hold true for ETH after the upgrades, which aims to be more sustainable and efficient. And of course, I don't put a lot of stock in people flooding Bitcoin for environment stuff. I mean, I think having a hard hard money like Bitcoin is important, but nevertheless, this is the arguments we will continue to see popping up, and ETH is going to look good for people who strongly care about the environment. Development. This is a huge one. ETH has been the largest growing ecosystem of developers on blockchain out of any other protocol. Yes, even more than Bitcoin. In fact, since Q3 2019, ETH has gained more than 300 developers every month. Hey, when prices are down, that's good for development. Bitcoin on Ethereum. If the other numbers in this thread weren't enough to impress you, just take a look at the absurd number of Bitcoin on ETH. The holders who wrap their Bitcoin to ETH can participate in a wider economy and take advantage of DeFi while maintaining their exposure to Bitcoin. And this number continues to grow. Institutions. There are arguably much better solutions for institutional adoption of cryptocurrency with ETH over Bitcoin. It is a lot easier to dip your toes in by earning 4% APY on their holdings in a token that is denominated in USD compared to just holding Bitcoin. This is this individual's opinion, but you cannot deny all the connections Ethereum and Enterprise Ethereum Alliance has to institutions and people, places like this. Projects on Ethereum. Believe it or not, more than 90 of the top 100 crypto projects are built on ETH, with more than 3,000 dApps and 200,000 ERC20s. Still not impressed? Well, a large majority of these projects also include extensive use cases for Ethereum. DeFi adoption. Despite what many people may like to think about this, we are so dramatically early that it should not be understated. There are as little as 3 million wallets having ever interacted with DeFi contracts. We haven't even begun to discover what can be made with ETH tech. TLDR. ETH has some extraordinary things coming up that almost no one is talking about except for us hardcore crypto people. It's unfathomable to me how people believe this market at all is the same to what it was 3 years ago regarding ETH. I tend to agree with that. If there is a bear market, it won't last long at these levels. Hope you all enjoy. I like this. I like to see thought out theses like this. So let's move forward. Before we get to Chainlink and before we go over, everything Chainlink has going for it, I do want to point out, I'll include a link to this in the description below. Friend of the channel, Wendy O, who has her own crypto YouTube channel, is trying to help a local business here in Southern California. It's the Self-Care Lab. They do boxing and all sorts of stuff, and they're in a little bit of a bind. You can help them out by either donating money, Bitcoin, Ethereum, or USD, or you can just help spread awareness by retweeting all this. I'll leave a link to this in the very top of the description, so check this out and see if you want to help. Wendy is vouching for this company. She's making sure everything goes to this company, and this company needs help. So please check out the details in the description below. Finally, my friends, Chainlink, out of all the oracles, has differentiated itself in such a huge way over the last couple of years. It's my duty to point this out to you. Out of the top DeFi protocols on DeFi Pulse, almost all of them use Chainlink for oracle integrations, whether they be price or otherwise. In fact, when it comes to Oracle project integrations, Link far surpasses any other protocol with a number of integrations. And finally, take a look at this, whether we're talking about USD pairs, ETH pairs, proof of reserves, stable coins, fiat pairs, stocks, commodities, indices, miscellaneous. Chainlink has, they use Chainlink for Oracle type services. So don't ignore Chainlink, especially in a bull market. That being said, my friends, I will see you tomorrow.